So the next topic I want to talk about is Groovy truth. So in Groovy, you're not limited to using just a Boolean value in an if statement, for example. As long as value is not null, an empty string, an empty set, or 0, then it's considered true. So in other words, null, empty string, empty set, and 0 are considered false. So this is helpful a lot of times if you want to just check that something's not null before you do something. So here I'm saying, like, if this thing is not null, then print this. Or if a string is not empty, then do something with the string. It's also really useful that when you use the double equal sign in Groovy, that means it's actually calling the dot equals method. Because when you're programming, you really use the dot equals a lot more than, at least I find, than you really use identity equals when you're talking about objects. So if you really want to do identity, you can still in Groovy, you just use the dot is method. So here you're saying A dot is B, meaning they're pointing to the same object. The next topic I want to talk about is property access. So in Groovy, by default, all your objects get a setter and getter method for every field. So you're not having to write a lot of boilerplate code to get that working. So for instance, if you have a field called bar on your class, you're going to have a get bar and a set bar method automatically. And it also, likewise, when you refer to a property, you don't have to actually call the get method. You can just say dot and then the property name, in this case dot bar. And that works for not only Groovy classes, but any existing Java class as well. So that can save you a lot of time, and it takes a little getting used to if you're coming from Java, but it ends up making code a lot more readable and you're a lot more efficient. So the thing you gotta watch out for is, we'll talk about next, how the map access works in a similar way using the dot name if you have your keys are strings in the map, which happens a lot. So you have to watch out for that. And because of this, or in a related way, instead of doing the dot class as you would in Java, you would simply refer to the class name, which, once you get used to it, is actually a more natural way of doing things. So let's go ahead and switch to the code. So here's the Groovy truth example. So in this case, I say if, and I pass in a string here. So if that string, then I print foo. So I print foo. If the number 42, print 42. So that prints out 42. And likewise, the empty string is considered false, 0 is considered false, and the empty list actually is considered false. Whereas null is also, of course, considered false, and the empty set here would, if this were considered true, it would have printed out wrong, which it doesn't do. And for example, here I have a class called foo for properties. It has a property named bar, And when I create that class, you can see that these values are the same. So if I assign this, say, some value like 55, and when I run this, that's asserted as true. If I assign it a value, which is 2, and then I'm printing that out. And here I'm using the G string, so it prints out bar equals 2.